Hey guys, today we're going to talk about assignment 6, which is to create a model of your own design with surface materials with at least one moving part. Um, you guys have learned how to do some modeling and assign materials, and you've proven that you can do those things in previous projects, so we're not going to go over that part. We're mostly going to be covering how do we go ahead and get those object pieces separate and animate them separately. Okay, so I've just gone in here and made a little pumpkin. It's amazing, I know, most beautiful pumpkin ever. Let's say my boss comes in and he says, "Oh great, yeah, there's that pumpkin. All right, now I want you to make the top come off. It'll just lift off of the pumpkin." And then I go, "Oh, well, now what?" Because I have it all, it's one solid piece, and I need to somehow get a lid separated from it and animate that little lid separate from the rest of this pumpkin. So, first thing I went ahead and did, if you come over here to your shading button, change it to X-ray, now I can see. What I did was I kind of made a little copy of the pumpkin. You can see I can pull it over here so you guys can see it, and just made it a little bit smaller than the original pumpkin so that it'll fit nicely right inside there. Okay, so that we have kind of a little separation here on the edge between our original and the hollow inside piece. Okay, so what that's going to do is once we use difference boolean with these two objects, it's going to make our pumpkin object just like a hollow pumpkin. Okay, so let me go back here a little bit. I had it placed where I wanted it. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. First thing is you always want to grab first the object that you want to keep. So obviously we want to keep the outside of our pumpkin, right? We want that. But we want the inside to be carved out hollow. So we're going to come inside here and then second grab this inside pumpkin circle, alright? So you can see we've got both of them selected. We selected the outside first and the inside second. Alright. And just so you guys know, it is a little reminder to grab two things. You grab one and then you hold down Shift and then click on the other, and now you've got both of them, okay? So once we've got the two of those, we're going to come up to Mesh, Booleans, and Difference. Now, okay, all the little lines turned green, but it doesn't really look like anything has happened very much. Yeah, but it has, actually. So what has happened is that the inner pumpkin here has carved out the outer pumpkin so that there's a space inside of it. It's hollow, okay? It's now hollow. And it looked hollow before in X-ray, but it was actually one big solid chunk, okay? So now we've got a hollow pumpkin, which is how pumpkins should be, hopefully, so that's fine. So next thing we want to do, now that we have our correct hollow pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and change this back to not X-ray so we can see a little better, okay? We want to have a lid come off of this pumpkin, okay? So up here I have just a shape that I made out of a cone, alright? And that's just kind of the shape that I want to cut in for my pumpkin. You don't have to use a shape like this on your model. Obviously, different models of different things will need different shapes for lids. I mean, could be something as simple as a cube, really. So for my pumpkin, I got a little crazy, and I've got this nice little 5-sided cut that I want to do. Okay. So once I've got that shape, I'm going to take it down to where I want that cut to be. And so basically anywhere you see my shape intersecting with this pumpkin, that's where our cut is going to be, okay? That's where the pieces of the pumpkin are going to get separated. Alright, so once I've got it in place where I want to cut, I'm going to first grab the object that I want to keep, which is the pumpkin, right? Second, grab the one I want to cut with, and we're going to go to Mesh, Boolean, and Difference. And once I do that, okay, we've now got a separation between the lid of our pumpkin and the rest of our pumpkin, alright? Now, you'll notice that the color has kind of gone away here. That's really not a big deal. I mean, you could just go in here and grab these faces, just like that. Right click and hold and go down to Assign Existing Material, and mine is just called Blend 1, so that's the one I'm going to go ahead and put on there for my pumpkin color. Same thing on the other side here on the underside. It's all gray, so we're going to turn it back to orange, just so everything looks nice and happy. Again, right click and hold, Assign Existing Material. There we go. Alright, so now we've got a pumpkin with a lid, which is great. But when I grab the pumpkin, it's all still one piece, so, you know, I can move it around, rotate it, whatever, scale it, but I want to be able to move this lid without moving the rest of the pumpkin. I want this lid to be a separate thing, okay? So, how do I do that? What I'm going to do is go to face mode, okay? And I'm going to grab all the faces that are part of this lid, alright? Now, of course, it's going to be really easy, depending on what angle you're selecting from, to accidentally select a whole bunch of other faces on the pumpkin. So, you know, there will be a little bit of finagling involved when you're selecting faces. You just want to make sure that you're selecting all of the faces on the object that you want separate, and make sure that you don't accidentally select any faces on the other part of the object, like over here on my pumpkin. I don't want that. I just want everything that's part of the lid. Okay? So, bear with me. We're going to get all these faces here. Pretty exciting stuff, I know. Now, depending on, you know, what kind of object you model, this whole face selecting thing might be a little easier than it is here on my pumpkin. The pumpkin is a little bit of a complicated shape. So, you know, if you did something like something similar to a box or something like that, you might have a lot easier time of this. So you don't have to, you know, create like anything super complicated or difficult or anything like that. Just as long as it's not a treasure chest and it has a moving part, okay? Doesn't have to be a masterpiece. Okay. That looks about right. Just gonna double check real quick here and make sure I got all these little guys along the edges. Check the bottom, make sure you have everything underneath. Alright, well, I think it's probably good. So once I've got all those faces selected, I actually want to go ahead and separate them from the bottom half of the pumpkin there. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to Mesh and hit Separate. Now once I've done that, everything lights up. You know, I've got green here where I had my selection and white on the bottom of the pumpkin. So when I go ahead and just click off of that and grab this lid, now you can see my lid is separate from the bottom of my pumpkin. So I should be able to move my pumpkin bottom around wherever I want and the lid won't go anywhere. I can also do whatever I want with my lid. Yay! Now one thing you'll notice is that, you know, why when I hit my rotate tool, my lid is rotating all the way from this point down here. I mean, when I want my lid to rotate, you know, right up here, just the lid. Yeah, and yeah, I would want that. So once I've got these pieces separated, I want to go ahead and recenter my tools for everything, okay? Because otherwise I'm going to have a lot of trouble animating. So to do that, I'm going to grab a piece, come up to Modify, and hit Center Pivot. And once I do that, you can see our tool snaps into place, and now we're rotating and scaling and everything from the center of our tool, okay? From the center of our piece, excuse me. And we want to do that for this as well. Modify, Center Pivot, alright? And with that, I can now animate these pieces separately. So, you know, let's do a tiny animation. I'm gonna grab this piece, and I will hit S is the hotkey to go ahead and key that piece, okay? So it's got a keyframe right there on number 1. You can see by this little red tick mark, there's keyframe, okay? And I'm gonna come over here, drag my slider over to 12, and I'm just left clicking and dragging the slider, okay? So now I've got 12 highlighted. I'm gonna go ahead and come up here and I'll move my pumpkin top up, just like that. And go ahead and hit S again to key that frame. So this little red tick mark will appear as soon as I hit S. And then I'll come on over to 24 here. And you know, I'll go ahead and rotate it this time, alright? So I'm gonna go to my rotate tool. And I probably don't really want it to rotate like this. I'd rather have it rotate from the side over here, like as if it was a lid. Okay. So to move my pivot point again, you know, we centered it before, but how do we move it somewhere else? I'm gonna hold down the D key, okay, and that's gonna allow me to move my tool around. I'm also going to hold down the V key at the same time, which will snap the tool when I move it to nearby vertices, okay? So that way it'll just snap right on somewhere that's actually on the object. It's not necessarily, you know, you don't have to snap it to an object, but I like to do that. Okay, so now it's kind of at the back area here, and I'm just gonna rotate it now. You can see it's rotating around that back point. So I'll just rotate it like that. Once I'm done, make sure to hit the S key again to key that. Okay. And let's see if it worked. So we go back to 1, here's our little animation. It's lifting up and rotating, and hooray! And there it goes. So, you know, this is it. This is just an object with some materials applied and at least one moving part, okay? And that is all there is to your assignment 6. So if you guys have any more questions or anything, or need any help, let me know, and happy modeling!